So let's start cutting. Alright, so the last of what I had to do is just take out that cross member, which you just saw me take out. So now we're just going to clean off all the metal and fit the frame back together, and then most likely start welding right then, unless I see something I don't like. The frame is in place, and I liked my measurements. I've double checked, triple checked, quadruple checked, checked and checked and checked, and I really like where it's sitting. So I went ahead and welded it real quick, and I like where it's at right there. I'm going to go do the other side. And so my plan anyways is, well, let's see if you can see this. I don't know. So the frame bows in quite a bit as it gets towards the front. So right about where the subframe lands at the back, at this little corner here, I'm not going to touch it because it's hot, but where it lands at that little corner there is right about where the frame is actually straight. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't want it to look like I put this frame in, I want it to look factory. So I'm actually going to box from over here, along here, over to here. And then one thing I could have done better, just for reference for anybody trying to do this, is I should have left the frame a little longer so it would have reached over here. But I'm going to graft in the piece of frame that I did cut off. I'm going to cut it out so it has that and fits perfect right there. But we're going to keep on going with this, and I'm really excited about it. It's looking really nice, and I think it should be just fine. Both sides cut out to add the piece that is missing. So as you can see, they're both in place. I'm going to go ahead and weld them in right now, and then we can start to box the frame in. Got all that welded into place, and I'm really liking it. Right here I made a mark with the marker here. I'm going to cut that off. That's going to make it in line with the frame, and goes from here to 0 on the frame here. So I'm going to cut that off so it looks straight on the inside. And what we're going to do right now is end up boxing this in right around here like that, and boxing it to this frame and welding it all together. Right about right here, this frame swoops up a little bit. So I'm going to cut a notch, or I'm going to cut it right here until about right there, and I'm going to fold this down because, as you can see, I got that little gap right there. And actually, if you could look, you can actually see that the frame swoops up. So I'm going to cut that and fold it down, and then when I make the plate to box it in here, I'll make sure I cover that and weld that all together. So as far as right now, the whole entire frame will be boxed eventually, but right now I'm just boxing to here. And the reason why is right about here, the transmission cross member goes in for the Nova subframe. The transmission cross member would go in about here. So I don't want to run myself out of room till I make that cross member. And that will be at later date and time. So right now we're going to box both sides from like right here to here on both sides. So I got the back boxed in both places. The welds will be finished later, so you won't even tell that I ever put a plate in there. Anything I could weld inside and outside is welded inside and outside. There's a ton of welding that went on in back of this plate. So yeah, anyways, there's a lot of welding there. So what I'm going to do now is I wanted to box this whole entire thing all the way back. But then I realized that my steps go right here, or the brackets for the steps go in these holes down, and then those ones right there. So if I weld the plate here, then I'd have to screw around with brackets and customizing them. So the plan, let me see if I can get this held up there. Let's just say that matches my bolt holes. You can see where the step is going to be in the way of that. Well, I did some measuring, and if I cut that frame off there, I can box my frame right into this step brace, as you can see, like right there. Sorry, I can't point because I'm holding this there, but I can box my frame right into the step brace, and that will make it look like nothing's done to the frame. It will obviously make it look like the step was made to be stationary, but that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so I cut the frame on both sides, and that is one of the step braces in place. So what I did was I cleaned it enough so I can weld it onto my frame because it is going to be stationary, because now what I'm going to do is box this piece into here and then also run a box across here. So again, it doesn't look like I actually put the frame there, the Nova subframe. This will be all boxed all the way to there, and then it'll hide the fact that we actually modified the original frame. So that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to weld this up, and then I probably won't show you that I welded it up, because all I'm going to do is literally weld it up and that's it. And then we'll start making the box for here. And these are the original body mounts for the Nova that this frame came out of. So I got to grind all this stuff off of there. I got the frame all boxed in on this side. One thing is, I did remove the original body mounts for the Nova here and here. This one I didn't really care about, just because it wasn't in my way at the moment. But that's all boxed in. I made sure that I boxed it and left the room so I could put the bolts through for the cab right here. So the only other thing that I want to do now is just make some plugs for this and weld this shut, and these holes shut, and these holes right here shut. Other than that, that's the look I was going for. You can see how I grafted it into the step rail there, and the frame, the cab, when it goes on it, is gonna lay down right here anyway, so you'll never see any of this or this. But when you look at the basic frame without a cab on it, I want it to look like it was supposed to be that way. So this will give that look to it. And this is where I had welded the frame, the Nova subframe to, until I decided to cut it for this mount right here for the step. So that will be grinded away later. It's again not a big deal to me right now. But from the top, that's what it looks like right there from the top, versus that right there. And that just looks like a bunch of pieces of metal put together, and that looks like a nice finished product right there. So we're going to go ahead and do that to the other side. Obviously, I'm not going to put that in the video because it's just duplicating what I just did. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're finally doing cool stuff with the truck, not just a bunch of talk.